Damage CTRL's full takeover appears to be inching closer and closer, but it looks like some massive twists and turns will also be taking place along the way. So let's dive in. Bayley and Damage CTRL's story has been very fun to follow over the last few weeks, because they have a lot of different stories all connecting them to Smackdown. We know that the group has been quietly testing Bayley in secret ways, without really informing her about it. We know that Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Iyo don't appear to be that happy with Bayley, but Dakota Kai appears to be trying to act as the peacemaker. But we can't really trust Dakota either, because she can definitely be gaslighting Bayley too, and be in on the whole thing with the other women. But besides all the internal drama within the group, we know that their other group goal is to truly establish themselves as one of the greatest factions of all time, by winning every single championship that's available for them to win on both Raw and SmackDown. Right now, they only have the WWE Women's title with Iyo Sky, but it looks like their takeover will really begin over the next few weeks, after Kaden Carter and Katana Chance successfully defended their tag team titles against the Unholy Union. Asuka and Kairi Sane entered the ring holding the tag team titles that didn't belong to them. Carter and Chance eventually did take the titles back, and there was no words really exchanged here, but judging by Bayley and Corey Graves' remarks on commentary, that was Asuka and Kairi's way of challenging the champions to a title match, and they accepted that challenge within that moment. So it appears that in the coming weeks, we're about to see the Kabuki Warriors versus Carter and Chance. And Carter and Chance are still relatively new champions, but they don't really stand a chance against the Kabuki Warriors. Asuka and Kairi are a part of a big faction that's getting pushed and is in the center of the spotlight right now. So they should easily take those tag team titles right off Carter and Chance whenever that match takes place, most likely in the coming weeks on SmackDown. Meaning that Damage CTRL's takeover is about to begin only in just a few short weeks. The second that the Kabuki Warriors capture the tag team titles, you can argue that the 2.0 version of Damage CTRL is technically way more successful than the first version. With the original version of Damage CTRL, all three members had the goal of wanting to hold 3 titles all together at the same time. Dakota and Iyo held up their side of that goal by winning the tag team titles on multiple occasions. But despite having many opportunities to win the WWE Women's title, Bayley was never able to capture and win the WWE Women's title. So the group's goal of having the tag team titles and the women's title never came to be. And even way back then, almost 2 years ago, the group was growing a little frustrated with Bayley not holding her way to that big group goal. So the second the Kabuki Warriors pick up those tag team titles, they'll have 3 titles they originally wanted to have back in the group in 2022. And strangely enough, they would have captured the 3 titles without Bayley. So once you have Iyo as the WWE Women's Champion and the Warriors as tag team champions, that may turn the group against Bayley even more, because they'll realize that they're achieving big things without Bayley, and she still isn't pulling her weight or bringing in any gold to the group after all this time. And of course, Bayley's character is mostly out of the loop on everything that's being plotted behind the scenes with Damage CTRL, so she's clueless. Bayley probably thinks it's a good thing for the group and herself when the Warriors capture those tag team titles, but it could turn out to be the complete opposite. And as far as Bayley's goal is right now, that may save her from getting tossed out of the group, is winning the Royal Rumble, challenging Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, and dethroning her of the Women's World title and bringing it back to Damage CTRL. If Bayley is able to get all that done, which does seem to be pretty impossible, just maybe that'll be enough to convince the group that she could stay in. Knocking off Rhea Ripley as champion and bringing that title back to the group should most definitely count as Bayley holding her weight for the group's duties. Bayley is making it clear that she's coming for Rhea Ripley. On the January 19th edition of SmackDown, Bayley was wearing Rhea's shirt, and even wore the similar face paint right under the eyes that Rhea usually wears. Bayley's face paint read RR, most likely meaning Rhea Ripley. So Damage Control's plan is in full effect. The Warriors challenging for the tag team titles, and Bayley challenging for the women's world title. If anyone screws up the plan here in the coming weeks, it may be a wrap for them. And strangely enough, it's being reported that Bayley is the odds-on favorite to win the Royal Rumble, according to some sites. And that definitely seems like an interesting direction if they do go that way. Obviously, everyone is expecting Becky Lynch to win the Royal Rumble, while Bayley's Royal Rumble dreams and goals all crash and burn along with her Damage Control membership. But what if Bayley did actually complete the first part of her goal and actually pulled off the clean win at Royal Rumble? Judging by the last few weeks of how the group has been treating her, we know for sure that Damage Control won't help Bayley during the Royal Rumble match itself. They've been wanting to see Bayley get a big win on her own without their help. So if Bayley ends up winning the Royal Rumble, that could count as a passing part of the test that Damage Control was putting her on. But the tricky part to figure out is that if Bayley wins the Royal Rumble, will she actually pick Rhea Ripley, or will there be another twist there? Because even if Becky doesn't win the Rumble, it looks like Becky versus Rhea is happening either way at WrestleMania, meaning that Rhea is already busy at WrestleMania, but Iyo just happens to be all free for WrestleMania 40. So it'll be interesting to see if Bayley holds off a bit on making her decision official after Royal Rumble. And then something goes wrong with Damage Control, maybe some big twist. Maybe they do finally kick her out. Just something terribly big that will force Bayley to change her mind from picking Rhea Ripley to actually picking Iyo Sky instead. Bayley versus Iyo at WrestleMania just makes more sense because the story seems a bit more richer. Bayley taught Iyo and Damage Control everything they knew, took a chance on them, took them under her wing, and they betrayed her and turned their back on her. So the both of them facing each other one-on-one in a title match at WrestleMania that also has high stakes and all of the background history really just makes the match feel even more special than Rhea Ripley versus Bayley. And Bayley had never had a singles match at WrestleMania in her entire career. So either direction they go in, it looks like that could finally be a possibility for Bayley in 2024. So we'll see what happens at the Royal Rumble, because that should be a massive indicator about which direction this story is headed. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.